we're back up at the shop again, so audio is going to kind of suck. I'm going to do my best to help you guys out and make you be able to hear me, so hopefully the mics are working up here with the compressor going. But today is the day. I think I said in one of the last videos, Honda CB350, we're not going to finish this today. However, we do have enough stuff to make a roller. In one of the last videos, I told you how FedEx or whatever lost one of the tires. Well, I ordered another set through a different person or a different company. And these showed up on Friday, matching front rear. Front one showed up this morning, so now I got 3 tires. We're gonna go back to street tires. He was gonna run the knobby, but we're switching it back. So we'll get rid of the dual sport and put a regular tire back on there. These are a little on the bigger side, so hopefully this all works out. Fingers crossed they're not too big for the forks. We'll figure that out when we get to it, but today the goal is to make this a roller because I need this cart that it's been sitting on for the last 6 months because we had a ton of work coming into the shop. And I feel like once it's on a roller status, he'll be a little bit more motivated to start working on some of the smaller details. So I'll get you guys set up. We're gonna start throwing some rubber on here. See what happens. Got a little dusty sitting up here, but still works. First thing I want to do before I actually go to mount this tire is make sure that the front tires that we got will clear. We got 190, it's going to be tight. I figured that much. We'll see. I think we should be all right here. Time will tell. I have this up on the tire machine, but it's not really going to be used. I might use it to just grab the wheel, depending on how tight the rubber is going onto here. But I got a brake on the left, so this is going to go on the bike like so. Now, with the tire machine, we're not always going to have to use, well, you don't really need a tire machine for this at all. But what I like to do is throw half the tire on first, then fish the tube in, then fish till, or set the last bead in. So what we're gonna do is see if this will work. Especially on smaller wheels, I don't even like using this most of the time, but should make it a little bit easier to at least seat the bead on one side, or not seat the bead, but get the bead onto the wheel on one side. Why not? I got it up here. All right, so brake rotor goes this way, which means this will go on this way. Make sure you grab all your cardboard out of it. Come on. There we go. And this is why I don't like using the tire machine on smaller wheels. Now I got a big tire to get onto here, and the clamps actually get in the way. I'm getting the tube in. I like to start with the valve stem when possible. Especially when you're running bigger tires on a small rim like this, it definitely makes it a little more complicated to get your hands in there, but once I get this nut on, it'll kind of keep it in place, and then we can shift and adjust as needed. Doesn't have to be all the way tight yet because we're going to tweak and move this around quite a bit. But now I get to pack the wheel in around the rim. Snug this up a little bit. Now, I'm not going to fill this. I am going to get a little air in there. Then we're going to pull the Schrader valve and drain it all back out. I'm putting a little bit of air in here now so it stretches, expands a little bit, and then comes back apart just to avoid a pinch flat. So let me find my Schrader valve puller and we'll be right back. Pulled the Schrader valve, so now the air is bleeding out of the tube. Run around it, make sure it's kind of straight all the way around, which it is. Tighten down the first nut here. And now the fun part. Seating the bead, or seating the rubber into the wheel without popping the tube. Got some plastic ones. I'm going to throw a couple of those in here real quick just because this tire is so much bigger than the wheel. All right, now I'm all hot and sweaty. I cheated. Used the tire machine, broke that bead on. That was the only part. It's too wide of a tire to do. I don't like doing it that way because it pinches the wheels together so much, but now we're seated. Let's see how tight that actually sits on there. Now I got to bust my clamps out. Then we'll throw some air in it, make sure it doesn't leak. I have a Schrader valve in here, but we're just going to cycle this up and down a couple times. Make sure that everything's seating in the proper places. And we'll tighten this nut down. Throw the Schrader valve back in. And then we get to do the final fill up. I don't hear any leaks, so I think we're in pretty good shape here. And there we have it. Now I get to put it back on the bike. Oh wait, there's one more. Yay. Gonna do the same thing on the rear. I just gotta pull off this old one. tried drilling it, never got it all the way apart. I'll try and get the cable out of there. Honda's over here, and then luckily for me, I'm a hoarder and have a bunch of parts from like 10 years ago that I still need or kept for whatever reason. So I got a brand new Speedo drive, well, new old Speedo off of another hub that I saved upstairs. So I'm gonna start putting the tires back on this thing, get the center stand on. First I gotta get the shock tower and the rear bracket hooked up first. Then we'll throw the back tire on, wrestle the center stand on, and then we'll go on to the front. We're low on space over here right now, so around a little bit. Rear grab bar needs to go on around the shocks, so I'm going to finish putting the shocks on, slide this on. Nuts for the shocks are still in the bin somewhere, but try and get these laid out first, which means I actually have to take them off because they're all kind of loosely stuck on here. Grease these up and slide it down over the powder on the ground. Zip these down and start on this wheel and center stand. Now we get to wrestle the wheel and the brake stuff in. Ground level on the back half of this bike. We have our drum. Kept the bolts in for the brake arm retainer. Axle's still fully loaded. Got the brake lever up here. I don't know if I'm gonna worry about the linkages yet. And I got the little pin for the drum. Like I said, on the linkage side, I gotta figure out where I left all of those. Got 3 boxes of parts that are kind of scattered behind all of these boxes. That's alright. Right now, roller status. So, brake drum. Wheel over here. Brand new wheel. Right in here like so. And we'll pull the axle apart. That's the hard part. Getting the axle back in by myself while this thing's all rigged up sideways on the lift or on the cart we got it on. But it works. Plug this down just enough to keep it in place. This is going to be floating. We don't have any of the brake arm stuff in. That should give me enough weight there. Hold that in place. And then the rest of the stuff that I took out over here, I'm not actually going to use yet. Let me try and jig this up in a better way to get the front wheel on, and then we'll start trying to put the center stand on. Two bolts on the back side of this fender bracket or brake bracket, which holds in the upper brake mount. No clips on the top or anything, so your fender mount bolts and your brake bracket bolts. You got one big nut that goes on the bottom here. Get your washers. Now, you also have the adjuster chamfered with a spring. Spring goes in between. I'm guessing this is like a pad quiet down anti-rattler device. This threads into the torque. Man, this looks wrong to me too. I just can't win. pick up on what I did here yet? This is upside down. Let's do it again. We got the layout right. Everything else is set up, but when I turned that, I didn't realize that I put it in upside down. So that's great, just great. People ask me why I drink so much. Well, here is your answer. Okay, so this should sit this way right here. Now we're going to pound this pin back out. Again, make sure the O-rings stay together. Switch the pin. Here's the O-ring I need. Leave that on that side. This will go here, like so. Now, this will go on here. This is the way it should sit. Take your extra bracket. Drop this on again. Make sure your O-ring's in there, which I just checked it is. Lay this out on the fork, and then if you rotate it, your fender drops right back in place. If you do this enough times, it starts to actually lay out the right way. Now, that bolt and the spring that I was talking about is right here. So this is going to go through like this, and then this will thread all the way through the fork leg. That's going to be kind of a pain to actually get all the way in. Let's see here. Just like that. And your long fender bolts are going to go up top. Through the fender, through the bracket, and into the fork. That on that side. One more over here. So, and your washer and nut for the caliper bracket go on the bottom. Like that. Then our caliper will go through like this. Rear side's threaded. Caliper. So, and there we have it. Now I get the rest of the wheel back in. All right, now the moment of truth, and I think this might actually be too tight, so I'm really hoping this tire works. It's 190 by 18. It came with a 90/90, but it was standard. It was like an Avon Roadrunner, or not Roadrunner. Yeah, Roadrunner. So Roadmaster, Speedmaster. Jesus. Avon Speedmaster is what this originally came with, but I wanted something a little better, so these aren't really great tires, they're Shimco's. Hopefully this will work with 100. It's 10 mil over the stock one. We're going to find out real quick. As of right now, it's okay. It's just really close. So I'm going to jack this up a little bit more and try and get the front axle in and see if it's going to hit the fender stays. I forgot he wanted to run a fender. I ripped those off all of my bikes, so leave it to him to be the purist and a practical one, and now we're going to run into a ton of issues. Let's see what happens when I jack this up. So we are looking at the front wheel roughly in place, a little lower than where the axle typically would sit. Got the speedo drive on the ground along with the axle. And this one uses pinch bolts on the bottom, so hopefully I can find those laying around here somewhere. And a little fork cap down here. So, first thing I'm going to do is take the old speedo drive out. We need to figure out clearance. Which side is it? So the speedo drive is your spacer on one side of this. Just kind of on here and in. There we go. Now we're spinning. I just checked the speedo drive here is spinning as I rotate this. So that is good. Spacer's in on the other side. Just down roughly in the position. So, then you got this jam nut dealio on this side. things on the inside. Nut, or fork cap. Make sure your fender stuff is out of the way here. Alright, I found some hardware in the front end bag. I didn't take this all apart, other than the brake stuff, so hoping this is right. Some of them mismatched hardware, but I think all the threads are the same, so we're gonna run with it. I'll put you guys right here for now. So I'm basically gonna pull the front end of this down, like so. We're gonna put our little cap on here. That. I'm gonna pinch that while I get 2 of these bolts started. One to hold it in place, and that's gonna weigh down the front end now. One in the rear. Oh my goodness, it's so tight in the fender. But I think we might be okay. Find out that part. So same thing on the other end now. We got 13. And 14. Very tight for clearance. Fender's not bolted, so I might be able to tweak that a little bit. Just gonna move hair. This side's actually not too bad. I got almost half of a pinky on this side. This one looks a little tight. But I think I can bend those mounts out a little bit. So this is basically bent in a little to run the speedo drive cable through this loop here. So if that's touching, I'm gonna have to modify that one a little bit and then go from there. Overall though, it's actually better than I expected. I think we'll be all right. A little bending and tweaking, but should work. Well, I got ahead of myself. Here's what I did. Grabbed your trusty old claw hammer, pinched it in here in between the fender and the bracket like so. Couple little bends here. Couple little bends there. And now we have clearance. Not much. But look at that. 3 spins. I mean, obviously it's touching the ground right now, but no drag, no issues. Then same thing on this little hook part. Just kind of gave that a couple little taps, and she clears. So 100mm tire does fit on a 90/90 tiny small 350 Honda wheel.